What's up, y'all, and welcome back to another episode of Z Commentary, the podcast. This is Zoe Huey speaking, and thank you for tuning in. And I also want to thank everyone who checked out my first episode. And if you haven't already, go back and give that one a listen. Like, literally pause this right now, go listen to episode 1, and when you're done, like it and share it, and then come back and listen to this episode. I really appreciate that. Okay, so creds to my mom who gave me the idea for this topic. And in the second episode of the series, I will talk about things we can all do to maintain our sanity and peace while quarantining and social distancing. I have 6 key tips that have worked for me these past few weeks, and these are tips that have helped me from going crazy during these uncertain times, okay? So let's just get right into it. Tip number 1 is to keep yourself busy. If you find yourself spending most of your days curled up on the couch or in the bed endlessly scrolling through social media, you may find that the days pass by much slower, and that's likely because you aren't being productive. Naturally, if you aren't doing anything of substance during this time, it's going to feel like you've been in the house forever. I challenge all high school and my fellow college students to get at least 2 assignments done each day of the school week. This may sound minimal, but you'd be surprised how often we just go to class on any given day and don't work on any of the assignments we could be doing. And that, my friends, is the first step in procrastination. And I, for one, am definitely guilty of this, but hopefully we can all snap out of that habit together. Tip number 2 kind of goes along with number 1, and that is plan out your days by making schedules for yourself. Anyone who knows me well knows that I plan out practically every aspect of my life by the minute with mini schedules. I plan out how long it should take me to complete school assignments and even how long I plan to get ready to go out somewhere. Now, this tip may seem like a bit much for some, but I think it's really helpful in keeping me focused and staying on track with what I need to get done. And if you haven't used this tactic before, I encourage you to try it. It definitely won't hurt, and I think you'll find that it's just as helpful to you as it is for me. Tip number 3 is to take a stroll around the neighborhood or ride around the city if you can. When we're cooped up in the house for days on end, it's very easy to get stir crazy. And sometimes all we might need is a simple change of scenery. So try to take a walk around the neighborhood a couple times a week with your family or your dog to not only get your exercise in, but to also get a breath of fresh air and a chance to appreciate the spring season. And if you want to travel beyond your local neighborhood, ride around the city and just sightsee. I know that some cities have more tough travel restrictions than others, so make sure to do your research and confirm that it's okay before hopping in the car. My next tip, number 4, is to get a full night's rest. This is something that most of us probably did not have the luxury of doing before schools and businesses closed, but now that we do have the time, let's take advantage of it. Get yourself on a healthy sleep schedule so that you can wake up feeling refreshed in the mornings to have a good, productive day. Tip number 5 is to take this time to grow in your spirituality. Those who know me or follow my blog know that my religion and my spirituality are important to me, and I personally believe that God placed us all here in this pandemic situation for a reason. Since we aren't in the midst of our typical hectic day-to-day routines, I think we should take this opportunity to pray and reflect more. These are tough times, but I think we should still be appreciative that we're able to wake up and experience another day on earth, because everyone, like those who have died from COVID-19, do not have that luxury. And if you aren't a religious person, I encourage you to practice mindfulness and get into the habit of just centering yourself and help relieve any stress or anxiety that you may be experiencing during these times. And my last tip number 6, is something I know that you've all heard before, and that is take on a new hobby or continue a project that you otherwise wouldn't have had time for. Now, this does not mean that you have to do something as drastic and time-consuming as starting a podcast. If you've always wanted to try your hand at drawing, for example, by all means, now is the time to hone in on that. If singing has been your secret passion for a while, use this time to practice your skills. And if you've been meaning to clean out the garage for months, now is the time to get started on that. The world is really your oyster right now, and it's times like these where we should take the opportunity to develop better versions of ourselves and give ourselves a fresh start when things do go back to normal. All right? So that pretty much concludes this episode for me. I hope you guys enjoyed these tips, and I hope I said something that has given you the motivation to do something good for yourself. As of right now, this podcast can be streamed on Spotify, SoundCloud, and YouTube. So if you did like this episode, please like, follow, subscribe, and share it. Someone you know may need to hear what I spoke about in this episode today, okay? Also, go follow my blog on Instagram at z.commentary. And once again, if you enjoyed this and would like to see more, please share this with your friends and put them onto something new, okay? You can listen to podcasts while in the shower, driving in the car, getting ready in the morning, falling asleep at night, and much, much more. Once again, this is Zoe Huey, and I'll catch y'all on the next episode of Z Commentary, the podcast. Peace.